Good afternoon. My name is Crystal Fletcher with the Public Affairs Division. Thank you for joining us today. Earlier this week, we reported out on a shooting series that occurred in Charlotte during the overnight hours. The series included one homicide in the 3800 block of Statesville Avenue and several other shootings around the city. When we reported out on Tuesday, we had limited information available, but we knew it was important to be transparent and make the public aware of these incidents and share the information that we had. Today, we are providing an update on the investigation, which includes 2 arrests that have been made. I will now turn it over to Chief Johnny Jennings for more information.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone being here. I start out quickly just saying that there's so many intangible pieces that come with police work, and part of that is to discuss and to talk about how do you measure how much crime is actually prevented. And, you know, we have a great group of men and women within our agency who every single day go out to try and make sure that we keep our community safe. And that's exactly what you're going to get a great example of here today in some of the work that's been done to bring some closure to this shooting spree that we talked about earlier this week. Again, as Lieutenant Fletcher said, we talked about the spree that was going on included 5 different shootings that went across 2 separate divisions within our jurisdiction. These were brazen crimes. These were crimes that put our community at risk and created a safety hazard for our community when you look at the victimization that goes along with the crimes that were committed. What I will tell you is that our police department and personnel within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department took this personally. They took this as a threat to the safety of our citizens within Charlotte, and they acted appropriately. You're going to hear about officers and groups of officers that worked tirelessly for many hours throughout the day until we were able to bring resolution to this case. These quick arrests within 48 hours of just talking about these quick arrests are truly a testament to the dedication that our officers have every single day. It was all hands on deck as we talked about the resources that we were going to put forth to make sure we bring this to some closure and hold people accountable. So since the incidents began, phenomenal teamwork from multiple divisions, specifically units to include our crime reduction units, our violent criminal apprehension team, and our juvenile apprehension diversion empowerment team, also known as JADE. They all collaborated, came together, and they made sure that they were going to do everything possible to try and make sure that we make an appropriate arrest in this case. And they did just that. So I'm extremely proud of the work that they did, and also proud of keeping our community safe and some of the crime that could have happened if they had not made these arrests so quickly. So again, we're going to hear about 2 teenagers that were responsible for this crime. And it's no secret that I've made many comments about the need for us to make sure that we're saving our crimes. Juvenile crime continues, saving our juveniles, because juvenile crime continues to be an issue, not just in our city, but across our entire country. And if we can't provide resources, if we can't break the cycle of violent criminal behavior with our young people, then our future is not very bright for the safety of our citizens within our community. So I commend the officers that came together with very little information, with very little details about who the suspects might be, but they knew that they had a job to do and they worked very hard. So that's why I will always tout the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department being the best in the country to be able to be responsive enough and to be able to bring closure to this and have an arrest. So I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Tanya Arrington. She's going to be able to give you more details about the investigation and the arrest, and I'll turn it over to her now.
Good afternoon. Like you said, my name is Deputy Chief Tanya Arrington. I'm with Investigative Services Group. As Chief Jennings mentioned, we made 2 arrests in the shooting series that occurred earlier this week. On Tuesday, we talked about a robust plan that we had in place, and we're putting numerous resources towards this investigation. This investigation immediately became a priority for this department. These resources were proactively patrolling areas where the shootings had occurred throughout the week. Early this morning, officers noticed a vehicle that exhibited suspicious behavior. Officers were then able to conduct a traffic stop, and there was one driver in the vehicle, a 16-year-old juvenile male. Also located in the vehicle was a firearm, later confirmed stolen. Our homicide detectives and crime scene investigators responded to the scene and were able to later confirm this was one of our suspects. During the investigation, detectives were able to identify a second suspect involved in this series. Earlier this afternoon, CMPD's VCAT, Violent Crime Apprehension Team, and the FBI Charlotte Field Office took 18-year-old Carlos Roberto Diaz into custody. He was transported to CMPD's Law Enforcement Center to be interviewed. We have reason to believe that the 16-year-old juvenile intended on continuing his violent crime spree. Thanks to the great work of our officers and detectives, they were able to prevent additional harm to innocent victims. Thanks to the great work of CMPD's Crime Lab, we have already been able to forensically link 3 of these shootings together. We will continue to analyze evidence collected and provide additional updates as they're available. 18-year-old Carlos Roberto Diaz will be transferred to the custody of the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, and he'll be charged with the following, and this will be in the presser release: first-degree murder, felony conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder ×5, shooting into an occupied vehicle ×2, shooting into an occupied dwelling ×2, assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. The 16-year-old juvenile suspect is charged with first-degree murder, and he will be transferred to the Department of Juvenile Justice, and there will be additional charges coming. At this time, I want to assure the public that we are not looking for any additional suspects. We believe we have all that were involved in custody. Again, I want to highlight the great work of the department, of our officers that came together and no doubt prevented another violent crime spree. So I'll go ahead and open it up for any questions.
Deputy Chief, on our books we had 4 connected shootings. I heard Chief Jennings mention 5. Would you mind listing the locations?
We can get those to you. I don't have all the locations in front of me, and the reason for that is, like, one incident may involve the bicyclist, and then in the backdrop, the apartment was hit. So technically for us, that counts as one incident. But we will get you that list.
How did detectives know to look for a suspicious vehicle? Was there a tip or surveillance? Or?
I'll just be honest with you. It was good old-fashioned police work. Our officers in the right areas at the right time, knowing what to look for and being proactive.
How did they know what to look for?
It's just one of those gut instincts that you have sometime as an officer, and there's no doubt that that played into that. That experience from the officers that were out there in the field knew what they were looking for. Once they saw it, they stopped the vehicle and made the arrest.
A lot of the victims are wondering why. Have you guys been able to answer that? Is this a sort of gang initiation type spree? Why were they out there doing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's no indication that it was gang related. There's no indication as why. So we're still asking the same questions. Why would 2 juveniles engage in this type of behavior on random victims. It's one thing when we have a shooting spree between two maybe rival gangs, neighborhood gangs, beefs, but this is random and just completely unusual.
What makes you think that this was going to continue?
Based on the evidence and the actions that the officers observed, there was no doubt that he was going to continue his crime spree.
Was he in the process of looking for another victim when they stopped him?
That is a great possibility. That's what officers believe, that he was out there actively looking for another opportunity.
Do the victims have anything in common, like certain identifiers?
Like I said, I think it was on Tuesday. The only thing that we really saw was location, right? Two people on bicyclists, opportunity, right? And then two vehicles. So once again, it was just an opportunity, a random car, a random bicyclist.
So, just to follow up on that really quick, sorry. A lot of the shootings were in close proximity, but it also showed a shooting in South Charlotte off of Hillary Circle was also related. Can you expand on why the location difference, how those can be related?
So what we know is, like, even though they're far apart, all this occurred within about a 30-minute time span, right? And then they had the same MO, drive-by shootings, targeting people in cars, targeting people on bicycles. So that's how we were kind of able to start linking stuff together, along with some of the evidence that we were able to collect at the various scenes and witness testimony.
Was just one gun used or two?
Were we expecting that the 18-year-old was driving and the 16-year-old was the shooter? Was it vice versa? Do you happen to know any?
So we're still working through it. It's an active investigation, and that would be details that we would not release at this time.
Was one gun used or two, or are you still working through
We're
that?
still working through the investigation.
Was the gun, you said it was stolen, are there any previous crimes it's connected to, and also where was the gun stolen from? Was it a house, a car?
So they have not been able to track down where the gun was located from. We were anticipating that question. But we have not been able to track that down, and then we still have to go through and have the lab process the gun before we'll be able to know if it's connected to any other type of violent crimes in our area or somewhere else.
Related to the one bullet, one gun, two guns still working. One shooter, two shooters still working.
Pardon me, so
Is there one shooter, one actual shooter, or two actual shooters?
we have two suspects in
Two suspects,
custody.
but you have
Right.
two shooters.
So that would be part of the internal investigation that we're not ready to release at this time.
That'll be all for the questions right now. And
I have a clarification, though. Which three are these two suspects actually connected to at this point?
So what we can say is that entire series that we discussed, they're connected to that entire series. So what we can do is make sure that that's part of the release that we give you all, so you'll know exactly which complaint numbers, which addresses is associated with. Okay? We won't release any of that information. Okay?
thank you all again for joining us today. Like Chief Arrington said, anything that was covered today will be on our newsroom and released on social media. And we will also follow up with any questions that you had. If you need spellings for their names, Chief Johnny Jennings is Johnnynys, Jennings, and Chief Tanya Arrington is Tonyarrington.
Your spelling for your name as well?
Spelling for my name is Crystal Fletcher, Crystalfletcher.